Everybody, welcome. Little holiday music for you there. Here we are, number 77, the SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream. Hope you had a great week. Hope you're doing well. Got a little bit of snow here in Connecticut, just in the nick of time for Christmas. I don't know, who knows if it'll stay on the ground. I'm here for your questions, my friends. When you have a question, put it in the chat and put a few question marks in advance. In between your questions, a lot to talk about today. Oh man, in no particular order. I want to talk about a little bit of controversy, the Christmas song lyric controversy involving Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Ooh, I'm going to do a deep dive into that song. On a more guitar-related note, I got a bunch of guitar things to show you from my book called The Guitar Year One. There it is right there. I got some early Christmas presents. I can't wait to tell you about those because they're extremely thoughtful. Among other things we're going to talk about, I'm going to play a little bit for you out of the Christmas songbook. You just heard me playing a little bit just then. I'll play a little bit more for you. I want to talk to you about my current new favorite song, certainly favorite song of the week. We're going to talk about some of the best guitar players you maybe have never heard of from all over the world. Have some great ones from everywhere, from Brazil, England, the Bahamas, and the USA. We're going to talk about 5 more of the Grammy nominees. Oh man, we are just scratching the surface here when we talk about Grammy nominees that will possibly receive Grammys in this coming February. So much talent. I can't wait to share some of these names and video links with you. We got a poll question up and running. The poll question is, how well do you see the music? When you look at the paper or the screen, let me tell you, it's a recurring theme with all of my adult students. I don't think I have a single adult student who does not struggle with seeing printed music. And I have a possible solution for you, but that's the poll question of the night. How much do you struggle with seeing music? The 4 options are, my eyes are great, I have no problems. Another option, I struggle sometimes, whether I'm looking at the screen or looking at printed paper. Option number 3, I struggle all the time. I put that all in caps because maybe it would help you to read that if it's all in caps. And then I'm curious, maybe some of you just don't use tab in any form. Maybe you just watch jokers like me and you do what we do, but you're not squinting at anything like numbers. So this question, this is a moot point for you. That's another option. So go ahead and vote in the poll. We have a great student quote of the week. We're going to talk about who's in town this week across the street from my music studio here. We are a recurring segment called Should I Sell Out? I got 3 great offers this week. Offers of products that they, quote, quote, want me to sell to you. I think you'll get a kick out of the offers. I want to talk about the Kennedy Center Awards. I believe those are airing tomorrow night on TV. They happened a few days ago. What else? Oh man, I'm sure there's a few more things. I want to encourage you guys to get my free blues guide. I have given away hundreds and hundreds. I'm not even exaggerating. Hundreds and hundreds of the free blues guide that I put out a few months back. Song-bike.com. Get yourself a free copy. I forget to remind you guys to get something for free, man. 'Tis the season. All right, so those are a few of the many things that we're going to talk about tonight. Also, I have a brand spanking new Sweetwater affiliate link. And you guys actually brought that to my attention, that the old one was not working right anymore. So there you go. If you're going to shop at Sweetwater anyways, use that affiliate link. Sweetwater kicks back some of their profits to support this exact live stream right now, this thing right here. And of course, oh, how could I forget? We have a great guitar play along coming up in about an hour, give or take. So stay tuned for that. It's easy and it's classic, and you don't need a capo, you don't need bar chords. You can play lead guitar, you can play rhythm guitar, you're gonna love it. I saw a question come in. Matt has a question. He says, Jonathan, how have you been? I've been great. I've been great. I taught 5 lessons today, 10, 11, 12. 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 lessons today. That's a quiet day for me. I had multiple cups of coffee, and I had various yummy pastry goods from the bakery down the block. I'm doing great. I have no complaints. Okay, Dave has a great question. David says, Jonathan, I'm wondering if you could shed a little light on the concept of chord substitutions on the guitar. Love it. Love it. Yeah. Such as swapping the typical 1-for-5 for some alternatives that work for songs. Excellent. Okay, so that's the theme right now, chord substitutions. I like how you're thinking. First, let's talk about why you would substitute one chord for another chord. You can take an existing song and substitute alternative chords and see if you like it better. You could literally rewrite a song. You can't change the words of the melody that much, right? Because then that's what the listener is counting on, the lyrics and the melody, right? Or just the melody if it's instrumental tune. You get too far away from the original lyrics and melody, you're going to lose the listener. Not that you can't do a little bit, but you definitely can change the harmony under the song. At least you can get away with it. You can sneak in stuff far more easily than you can sneak in changes to the lyrics and the melody, right? So that's known as chord substitutions. Jazz players do this regularly. The rest of us non-jazz players, it's not quite so common. But what if it's a song you're writing, Then, of course, if it's your tune, that's a perfect context to talk about chord substitutions. Okay, so where should we begin? It helps if you think of a chord family. Let's use the key of C, because why not? Every teacher likes talking about the key of C. There's a chord family in the key of C. Quick reminder, the word chord means 3 or more notes played at the same time, okay? So in any given key, we're talking about the key of C major right now, there are 6 extremely common chords. If someone tells you the song is in the key of C, it's going to have some combination of these following 6 chords. C major, shocker, right? D minor, D is in Delta. E minor, E is in Echo. F major, G major, and A minor. Kind of nice how you have 3 majors to choose from and 3 minors. C, F, and G major. By the way, those are nicknamed the 1, the 4, and the 5 in the key of C. And 3 minors, D minor, E minor, A minor. If you are intending to write a song, there's 6 great choices. Put those chords in any order you want to. And at a minimum, it's going to sound conventional, meaning there have been a million songs written with some combination of those 6 chords, or 3 or 4 or 5 of those chords. There's been so many songs written with those chords that the human ear is very comfortable hearing songs with that as the harmonic foundation. So because we're working in a specific key and chords are made up of 3 notes, the key of C, the C major scale, is really only 7 notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then the 8th note, you're back to C again, right? No sharps, no flats. That's why we like talking about the key of C. Okay. What you're going to find is some overlap. Chords, the 3 notes of one chord contain a few notes that are in another chord. So here's a quick example. E minor and G. Again, both part of this family. Let's talk about C. C and E minor. Now, most of us think of C and E minor as a grip, the C grip, and the E minor grip, right? But keep in mind that the C major chord is a concept, right? It's a concept. You can play the C major chord on the piano, on any instrument that plays chords, okay? So C major the C major chord is made up of 3 notes, C, E, and G. The E minor chord also has an E note in it. It also has a G note in it, but instead of a C, like Charlie, it has a B, like Bravo. So right there, you see the 3 notes of a C chord contain 2 of the 3 notes of a E minor chord. Those are pretty similar, right? So could you sneak in an E, say you're writing a song, could you strum an E minor chord where you are about to strum a C chord? Definitely, definitely. Let's say the singer, maybe that's also you, is singing the note E. I'm illustrating that by my open E string. And they're strumming a C major chord. You are strumming a C major chord and you are singing the note E right there. La la, the SongBike live stream. And then you go through some other chords, F and G. And next time your chord sequence comes around, instead of strumming a C, why not substitute an E minor? It still has that note E. SongBike Livestream. You can still sing the same thing, but the harmonic foundation under that note has shifted a little bit. Instead of C, E, G, it's B, E, and G, right? The three notes of an E minor chord. Okay, so it doesn't change the melody. The singer can still sing that nice E sound. You're supporting that E note either way, but maybe subconsciously, for lack of a better term, the listener is hearing a change. Instead of hearing the C, E, G chord under the melody, they're hearing that E, G, B, E minor chord under the melody, and they know you've done something. They might not consciously know it, but put it this way, it keeps their interest, right? That's a big part of songwriting, right? You want to keep the listener's interest. Don't let them drift off. The human ear, human brain likes a certain amount of repetition. They like knowing what's going to come next. They're in their comfort zone. They also like when you surprise them, you know. And so sneaking in an E minor where they thought it was going to be a C, you've got them on the hook, you know. Okay. So when you're writing your own songs, that is an opportunity to do whatever you want, right? When you're playing someone else's tune, then it gets a little bit trickier. But let me address this as if it's a chemistry problem or a mathematical problem. E minor and C are one note apart. So let's call those, E minor and C are a pair of chords that are so close, those would be good substitutes for each other in general, right? How about D minor and F? D minor has D, F, and A, and F major chord has C, F, and A. Okay, so there's a pair of chords you could swap. E minor and G is another pair of chords you could swap. You might say, but wait, you just said E minor and C. Yeah, right. See how it gets kind of funky in here. E minor, remember, has E, G, and B notes. E, G, B. A G major chord, also in the family here that we're talking about, has D, G, and B. So one note difference. Okay, so E minor and G, those notes can come and go. One more, the A minor chord, A, C, and E. Well, an F major chord has A, C, and F. One note difference. So A minor and F major can be swapped with each other. At least you can try it out and see what you think, you know. The times when these swaps would not work, not directly, is when the singer, let's say you got your friend singing, the singer is singing a certain note that you were supporting with the original chord, but the next chord, the substituted chord, doesn't have that note in it. I'm not saying your friend's not a great singer, but you just made their life a little trickier or a lot trickier. And they might look at you like, what did you just do there? You know? So you don't want to take those chances. So this is where a little music theory is helpful. Okay. And the reason why, David, just to wrap up here, the reason why why you're more likely to see this in a jazz tune from jazz players than in a pop tune. You guys know when I say pop, I mean music intended to appeal to as large a large an audience as possible. Country, rock, blues, folk music, bluegrass, you name it. Jazz folks, in general, they have more of a knowledge of music theory because you have to be a competent jazz player. And how else? I guess because by its nature, jazz is an improvised music. So you're not going to lose listeners and lose fans by changing anything. Whereas I would say country music is an example of a very conservative musical style. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about musically. Country music is very conservative musically. And you could definitely lose your audience by playing different stuff in the background. This is not about the audience per se. It's more about the tradition of the music. So jazz has a tradition of being improvised music. So David, I hope that helps a little bit. I'm so glad you asked. I don't think anyone has asked about chord substitutions before. people do it all the time. And it keeps things interesting. Oh, Christmas songs. We're hearing so much Christmas music right now. For sure, Christmas music, especially if you hear jazzy versions of Christmas music, perfect example of you can't really change the melody too much. You certainly can't change the words too much, but jazzy arrangements, they're going to change the chords. They're going to substitute different chords. And we'll revisit this topic because now you've got my little brain thinking, yeah. A to Z Me says it's -20 in Quebec right now. Oh, yikes. Yikes. That's, yeah. Well, good luck, man. That is a good time to stay inside and play some music. That's tough. We have a little bit of a mild day here today, mild for Connecticut, not too bad. I see Val is talking about having cataract surgery, and now you see better. You know, Val, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I keep hearing more and more positive stories about cataract surgery, so I'm glad I can add you to the list. I'm sure I'll be a candidate at some point down the road. I'm super nearsighted, and I assume I'm gonna need all the help I can get. So I love hearing all these good stories. That's excellent. I'm glad. Okay, I'm just looking in the chat right now. All right. I say a few hellos. Randy, hello from Colorado. Hello out to you in Colorado. Wingo, hello. RB, Thunder Ace, Joseph in Oklahoma. Tommy, Scott Rhodes, hello. Scott, I like that Christmas song a lot. I replied to your email. Thank you for sending me your original Christmas tune. I dug it. Yeah, so David, substituting chords when you're writing your own song, that's a great idea. Because then obviously you have so much freedom and your ear tells you what you like and don't like. Hey, David from Eugene, Oregon. Hey. One more context. Let me see if I can make this short. In the key of C, G is known as the 5 chord. And you could play G major or G7. G7 has more tension built in there. And life is good, you know. Let's say you're in a situation where the song you're writing is in the key of C, and there's a moment where you are on a G chord in the song, and that G chord or G7, it's going to be the final chord you play before you go to the C chord. Maybe the song begins on a C chord. It wouldn't be a surprise if the song's in the key of C. And maybe G7 or G is the last thing you play, okay? So let's say you're on that G or G7 for 4 counts at the end of this chord progression. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then comes the C chord. Great, very conventional, you can't go wrong. So instead of 4 counts on the G chord, here's an extremely common chord substitution. 2 counts on D minor, 2 counts on G7, and then the C chord. It's known as a 2-5-1 chord progression. Remember, in this context, the D minor chord is known as the 2 chord in the key of C. It's the second note of a C scale, C, D, blah, blah. So the nickname is for the D minor is a 2 chord. So instead of the 5 chord for 4 beats, you do the 2 chord for 2, the 5 chord for 2, and then you go on to the C chord, right? Extremely common. So a 2-5-1 chord substitution. Look at you. You know, when someone asks you, how was the live stream? You're like, we're talking about 2-5-1 chord substitutions. It was okay. The guy, you know, was fine. You know, 2-5-1 chord substitutions. Check this out. It is not a coincidence whatsoever that the D minor chord has the skinny string first fret being fretted. The G7 has that exact same note. That's like a visual and audible sort of proof that those 2 chords flow nicely from one to the other, and the whole thing gets resolved onto a C chord. Okay, not a coincidence that that note is in both of those chords, D minor and G7. Okay, so have fun with that. A to Z me reminds us that D minor is the saddest of all keys. Oh, I love Spinal Tap so much. Okay, hey friends, let's get down to business with some other stuff. Keep the questions coming in, right? Put a bunch of question marks in advance. But lots to talk about. I'll keep this next topic short because we talked about it. I talked about it a little bit last week, and I want to sort of put a fine point on it. Why do you practice scales? You practice scales to feel better. And here's what I mean. When you practice a scale, I'm going to do a C major scale on the 3 treble strings. My opinion is that someone who's practicing their scales, you have very neutral expectations, right? You're practicing your scale. You want to get your hands warmed up. You're thinking about which fingers you're using. Maybe you think about down, up, picking with your right hand. It's a little workout, right? Your ego hopefully isn't particularly invested. You're becoming a better guitar player. Your ear is getting tuned in to the sound of whatever the scale is, major, minor, blues scale, whatever. It's time well spent. It's a great investment, but you're not trying to sound like so-and-so. If you're like me, a significant part of your practice time is trying to play your favorite song or sound like your favorite guitar player. A lot of ego involved, a lot of expectation, some disappointment sometimes, right? Maybe you make a tiny bit of progress and you're like, but I did it for an hour. How can I only make that much progress? Nothing wrong with pursuing your favorite songs and things, riffs and stuff from your favorite guitar players. But my sales pitch to you is that playing things such as scales, arpeggios, different exercises, your ego is mostly out of the picture. It should be. And yet you're still benefiting and growing as a musician. So the takeaway is give yourself a chance to play something just for the sake of playing it, because it's good for you, and don't devote all your practice time to one song by one person, and judge your entire progress as a musical human being. Don't judge your entire musical progress on how you're doing on one song by one famous person, okay? I'm not saying don't do it, but give yourself a break. Practice some other stuff with a different set of expectations. Okay, that's what I want to say about letting scales give you a break. When you play scales, you're not constantly asking yourself, do I sound good? When you go to play the unplugged version of Layla by Eric Clapton, we're all going to be like, ooh, how do I sound? Am I there yet? A lot of you're going to be stressed out, anxious. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that, but give yourself a break from that. Okay. What I want to talk about, given that Christmas is right around the corner, I did a major deep dive into something that was bugging me. And I'm sure this is going to say way more about me psychologically than I wish to reveal. I was working with a piano student, playing a really nice version of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, from the Alfred adult piano books. Very, very hip version, very sweet version, love it. And I noticed in the lyrics said, you might remember the lyrics where it says, through the years we all shall be together if the fates allow, hang a shining star upon the highest bough, right? Beautiful lyric. And I thought, wait, there's that other lyric. Through the years, we all shall be together if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. But am I crazy? I'm not crazy. Ooh, I did a deep dive on this. Okay, my friends. Some people sing it one way. Some people sing it the other way. You can't do that with a Christmas song. You can't just, no. And how did this all begin? Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas was written in 1943 for a movie musical called Meet Me in St. Louis, starring Judy Garland. And Judy Garland sings it in the movie Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And Judy Garland sang the original lyric, which was, "Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow." Okay. Fast forward to 1957. Frank Sinatra was recording the song for the second time. In 1948, he recorded it with the original lyric. 1957, he said to the songwriters, I don't like that line. I want this to be a feel-good holiday album. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. It's not working for me. I need another line to sing. All right, songwriters went back to the drawing board, and they came up with a beautiful line, "Hang a shining star upon the highest bough." So Frank Sinatra records that in 1957. Now, personally, I love the line. I mean, I love the whole lyric of the whole tune, but "until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow." That's a charming little lyric, right? 1943, what was going on in the world in 1943? Tough time all over the world, right? Middle of World War II. I love the modesty, the low-key vibe of this during wartime, right? Have yourself a merry little Christmas. It's a very modest, humble little wish in the middle of World War II, right? Okay, so what has happened since then? In case you're curious, I did a deep dive, so you don't have to. Who sings what? This song has been recorded and recorded and recorded by a lot of people. So, okay. So who sings the original lyric, "Muddle Through"? Judy Garland sang it originally. Then she went back and sang it later and changed it to the shining star lyric. So we're going to talk about the "Muddle Through" lyric and the shining star lyric. Okay. Norah Jones recorded not that long ago, and she sings "Muddle Through." In fact, some people repeat that verse, and Norah Jones sang "Muddle Through" both times. Ella Fitzgerald, "Muddle Through." James Taylor and Bob Dylan, "Muddle Through." They stuck with the original. Those are all people who stuck with the original lyric, even though the new lyric was available, but they all stuck with "Muddle Through." Okay. Who sings "Shining Star"? I thought you'd never ask. Luther Vandross, Andy Williams, Coldplay did a version of it. Dionne Warwick with Gladys Knight, Casey Musgraves, The Pretenders, Jewel, Michael Bublé, The Carpenters. These are all shining stars. They do not mention "Muddle Through." Remember Zooey Deschanel? Of course you do. She's part of She and Him band. That's her group's name, She and Him. They sing "Shining Star." So by my calculations, the shining stars are ahead by a couple. A lot of people sing "Shining Star." Now, Judy Garland. Actually, I misspoke. Bob Dylan. I'm going to come back to Bob Dylan in a minute. Judy Garland technically has sung both, but she did them separately, just like Frank Sinatra did them separately, right? Two separate recordings, different years. Who sang both lyrics? I'll tell you. Like I said, that's the end of the song. It gets repeated if you choose to. You can repeat. It's a very tasteful way to wrap up the song. Bing Crosby, both. He sang "Muddle Through" the first time, and then, a little later, he reprises the verse, sings "Shining Star." Mel Torme and Bob Dylan also sing both lyrics. Mel Torme, when next time you're watching Home Alone, that's Mel Torme singing the version of "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" in the Home Alone soundtrack. Okay, so in terms of people who I think had the great taste to just do both lyrics within the same performance, Bing Crosby, Mel Torme, and Bob Dylan. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for listening. This is how I spent my Friday afternoon doing a deep dive. It's possible next time you hear a recording of this song, "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," you will wait with bated breath, as I will, to hear which lyric are they going to sing. And if they sing the "Muddle Through" lyric, keep listening, because sometimes that verse comes around one last time, and maybe whoever you're listening to will sing the "Shining Star" lyric. Okay, I'm all done. Thank you. So fun. Okay, DAC Poet. Let's get back to some common sense. discussion regarding the vision thing. DAC poet, because of her nearsightedness, she keeps the music stand super close. Yeah. Yep. Caddis says, if you're tuned to a different frequency, D minor maybe isn't the saddest key. I don't know. I will say this, in all seriousness, as a guitar teacher, there's no group of chords that people confuse more when they're learning the basic cowboy chords than the D family. Most people learn D major okay, but man, do people struggle with remembering D7 and remembering D minor and remembering which is which. So that's like a real underdog chord, man. Every time a D minor or D7 chord shows up in a lesson I'm doing with a student, I hold my breath like, okay, what's going to happen? So if you feel very confident that you know the difference between D and D minor and D7, I declare that you are not a beginner guitar player anymore. You have graduated. On that basis alone, you have graduated. Hey, Rock Lobster has made a super chat donation. I appreciate that so much. So super chat is how you can contribute to the live stream right here. It's that $ down at the bottom of the chat. And I thank you. A to Z Me says D minor 7 is a beautiful chord. Yeah, D minor 7, some of you might know the most common way of playing it. It's a little bit like an F in that you bar the first 2 strings at the first fret, but then just one more finger, middle finger, 3rd string, 2nd fret. And then for sure you include the open D string. Yeah. Minor 7th chords have a very watery, vague kind of sound. And it's beautiful, but there's something very subtle about a minor 7 chord, for sure. Okay, so keep the questions coming in, my friends. I have some more show and tell. Hey, can I show you an early Christmas present? There's a family that I work with. Their kids come to me for lessons, and Dad makes beautiful things out of wood. And get a load of this. Look at that he made for me. Isn't that beautiful? Ooh. So my music shop here in Connecticut is known as Corner Music, not to be confused with a much bigger enterprise, I believe, in Nashville called Corner Music. I think it's in Nashville. We're not them. We're the other Corner Music. I'm very proud of this. We opened in 2006. Look at that. We're coming up on our 20th anniversary. Now, this is a nice, hear how solid that wood is. Beautiful. And I don't know if this is doing it justice, but look at this epoxy. Can you see how this deep blue color? Oh, isn't that beautiful? I'm going to hold up a little bit to the light. Oh, that's gorgeous. I could just look at that all day. Yeah, man. So I'm going to mount this to the wall, and look at that. I got like a very custom, isn't that beautiful? A very custom guitar holder. I love it so much. So thank you, Peter and family. That is just gorgeous. And it's solid. That's going nowhere. I mean, once that's mounted on the wall, that's not coming down ever. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. And I have another early Christmas present that another student passed on to me that I will show you in a little bit. I'll keep you waiting for that one. But another extremely thoughtful present. And you'll see when I show you, see why I got such a big kick out of it, because I'm weird. That's why I'm weird. All right. Check, check, check. Hey, let's teach you a lesson you'll never forget. Why not? Let's do a lesson you'll never forget. From the book available to you right now, the book called The Guitar Year One. I'm very proud of this book. It's full of things that reflect guitar skills and tricks and stuff that are good to familiarize yourself with within the first year of playing the guitar. And I'm going to give you an example. How about that? Okay, how about this? I'm going to share the screen, teach you a lesson you'll never forget. Hold on. Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to share the screen. Okay, there we go. Let's do some one-finger blues riff. Everybody got their finger okay? One-finger blues riff. Bear with me. If the screen goes black for a second, don't stress. There you go, one-finger blues riff. All you need is one finger. I'm going to use my pointer finger. I recommend the pointer finger, but technically, you could use a different finger. Okay, here's what I'm going to talk about. reminds you a little bit of Green Onions, right? It's not in the same key. By the way, to make that put that in the right key, you'd have to put a capo on the first fret if you want to be in the same key as the famous instrumental called Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. Okay. In the Guitar Year One book, there's a section with multiple examples. I'm going to play some more examples. I'll give you this part for free. All you need to know conceptually is that E, G, and A are a great bluesy combination of chords, especially if you do it this one finger kind of simple method. So when I say E, I'm actually playing, in effect, an E power chord. Imagine E minor, but instead of using two separate fingers, just use one finger clamping down hard, okay? And when you strum, you're only going to strum the 3 bass strings. Of course, I can't help but to touch the 3 treble strings. That's okay. I'm just not going to strum those. And in case my pick does hit the 3 treble strings, they're going to be kind of quiet sounding. You know why? All my pressure is on the A and D strings. And because I'm coming in a little bit of an angle, I'm not putting very much pressure on the 3 treble strings. So they sound like that. So I can strum pretty hard with carefree abandon. And the listener's only going to hear what I want them to hear. So in a moment when I say E, I'm talking about that specific approach to an E chord. Okay, A. I'm going to take that same index finger. Actually, let's do G next. You know when you do a G chord, however you play a G, with whatever combination of 3 fingers, you have an open 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. Okay, B, G, and D. Technically, those are the 3 notes of a G major chord, and you could just play those 3 notes, G, B, and D. That is a G chord. Okay, you don't have to grab all their strings. It's extremely convenient to go from that open 3-string open G sound to A, especially if the A chord, you grab it with just 1 finger. Instead of grabbing 3 separate fingertips on the A chord, like most of us do, just grab it with 1 finger. And basically, you're going to strum just the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. You could include the open A string. That's what's indicated on the screen right there. Notice if I take my finger off, that G chord is waiting for me. Is this cheating? Sort of, but not if this is how the song goes, right? And you could certainly write your own song with this. Okay, so the tab at the bottom of the screen where it says example 2, that's what you see is what you get. Steady downstrokes. On subsequent pages after this page, it's just variations, different ways of strumming, different, like the different order, like you know, it's just a variation, right? I spell it out for you, but if you can do this first one, you can do all of them. Okay, so bottom line is not only are you allowed to do this, but this is how some songs go. I'm using Green Onions as an example, not because Green Onions literally goes like this, but some of you, as soon as you hear me doing this, the Green Onions is the first that comes to mind. Okay, so there you go. What can you find in the Guitar Year One electronic book? You can find a handful of 1-finger blues guitar riffs that sound great. So if you're interested in that book, get it for yourself, man. I'm going to put the website in the chat. If I whet your appetite right there, as the show goes on, I'm going to show you a few more pages from the same book, totally different subjects. And I think you'll get a kick out of it. But if you're curious, yes, that book is waiting for you right now. It gets delivered to you immediately. It is an ebook. It does not come in the mail. It comes to your email inbox instantly because it's a PDF. even though I know I'm holding up a hard copy, I know I go to the local printer and print out one for my own pleasure. But you get it instantly upon purchase. Okay, so like I said, as the live stream goes on today, there you go. I'll show you some more examples from the book. Okay, I'm looking back at the chat here. You guys are talking about this whole D minor. Caddis wants some answers. Why is D minor the saddest key? Caddis, for many of us, we just say it's the saddest key because that's what they said in Spinal Tap, the classic movie Spinal Tap. Of course, minor keys, any minor key has the nature of minor chords is an emotional sound, whether you want to call it a sad sound, a sincere sound, a serious sound, a spooky sound. There's something a little bit deep about songs in a minor key. House of the Rising Sun, well, there's Christmas songs. Was it We Three Kings? Is We Three Kings in a minor key? I think there's definitely Christmas songs in minor keys. Not as many as are in major keys, but I think We Three Kings is in a minor key. Okay, hey, hello, T from Alberta. Hello. RB is talking about Run Through the Jungle. Yeah, now John Fogerty wrote a bunch of songs that have the whole minor kind of vibe, Wingo says A minor is my favorite. Yeah. Of course, you can mix and match chords, and a song can feel like it's in a minor key during one part, and then it can kind of turn major for another part. My favorite personal example is Greensleeves, also known as What Child Is This? Speaking of Christmas songs, which has the whole minor verse. It's called the verse, and then the major chorus. And that just goes back and forth between the minor and major sound. And I think that's my favorite example of a song that is in both a major key and a minor key within the same tune, And there's plenty of other examples, I'm sure. Plenty. All right, how is our poll going? The question is, how much does your vision affect your practicing? It looks like it's about split between people who have zero problems, lucky you if you have zero problems, and people who struggle a little bit, with that. And then, but 11% struggle all the time. I get that. Yeah. When I write these books, by the way, over the years, I've learned how to make the font pretty darn big. Just because it helps me as a teacher and as a player. But I assume no one's ever complained about print being too big. It's just the opposite. The nice thing, by the way, about any product you buy that's a PDF, not just my books, but anybody's PDFs that you buy, is you can make it bigger on your computer screen, right? It's a beautiful thing. You guys know I love hard copy books, but the fact that it's very easy to make a PDF larger on your screen, that's a beautiful thing. That is maybe the number one, maybe that's a number two sales pitch for buying any PDF from any guitar teacher. Number one is that it gets delivered to your inbox immediately. You don't have to wait for Amazon to deliver it. But number two, yeah, you can make it as big as you want. It's a beautiful thing. And then you can print it out if you want to, right? I'm David from Alberta. Hey, David, thanks for watching. I always get a kick out of seeing new names in the chat. We've got 36 people watching. Hey, let's throw some likes, okay? Don't do it for me. Do it for YouTube. The YouTube likes me better when you guys like them. So if you're so inclined, why not give this live stream a like? I don't think it'll change my life directly, but it keeps we're fighting the good fight. Let's put it that way. When you like stuff, we're fighting the good fight. Hey, let's talk about the Kennedy Center honors. Ooh, just like the Grammy Awards, I love the Kennedy Center honors that happen every year. Some of you might know this, some of you might not. The musical folks that I remember off the top of my head who were inducted, so to speak, with the Kennedy Center, the Grateful Dead and Bonnie Raitt. And the ceremony has already happened, but I believe tomorrow night is when it airs on some network. And you might not be aware, it's not that someone gives a speech and Bonnie Raitt gets the medal around her neck. Different musical people pay tribute to the musical honoree, right? And that can be super fun to watch because it's going to be a variety of people. So a variety of people paying tribute to Bonnie Raitt, a variety of people paying tribute to the Grateful Dead. So A to Z Me says the Kennedy Center has become way too political. Is that right? I don't know. I mean, they're yeah, I don't know. I'm not. You might be right. I'm just curious about the people who get, acknowledged every year, and then secondly, the people who sort of pay tribute to whoever is getting something. So, anyways, that's on, I believe, tomorrow night. In case you're curious. And then, of course, there are other people who get honors. But I think those are the only two musical. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, but I think those are the only. Someone, if you feel like Googling it, someone can. I feel like there's one more. Oh, interesting. Unsung Hero says a PDF is nice for left-handed players. I can flip it upside down and it reads the correct direction. Huh, interesting. I never thought of that. Chord diagrams. I can see how that would work for chord diagrams. Huh. Tab, though, tab, the top line of the tab is always the skinny string and the bottom line is always the fat string. And that's just how it's always been for like centuries. Tab is you guys know tab is ancient, right? Tab was not invented for the internet. Tab predates whatever you want to call standard music. So when you go way back in history, way back in human history, tab came first. And not surprisingly, because it's so direct, right? This line means your string. The number means where you press, end of story. So tab, Unsung Hero, tab is standard. However, having said that, if you're flipping stuff, however, whatever works for you, and I mean this sincerely, do whatever it takes. Whatever works for you, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Lefties, Unsung Hero, you don't need me to point out that lefties get a raw deal. They get a raw deal in guitar society. Rock Lobster saw Bonnie Raitt being mentioned on the Sunday morning last week. Yeah, you'll see, whether it's on social media or whatever, you'll see the different honorees, making the rounds and getting interviewed and stuff. Yeah. Hey, Beginner Guitar Lessons is our moderator, so give him a round of applause. Thanks for being here, Beginner Guitar Lessons. Okay. Let us take a moment and talk about, I have a student quote of the week for you. I think you'll get a kick out of this one. This is a prospective student of the week. So I was in my local library, and the librarian grabbed me and said, "Oh, got a question for you." She said, I bought my grandson a set of drums. I think he would love it, and I'm excited to give him drums for Christmas." And she said his mom is not too thrilled. She's not going to be thrilled. But you know what? I'm his grandmother. I just want to give him, he's like 5 or 6 years old. I want to give him some drums for Christmas. And I said, "Well, that's great." And she said, "Yeah, I don't think my daughter, but can he come to you for lessons?" I said, "Of course he can come to me for lessons. I would love it. That's great, And she said, "Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and give him to him. But I know my daughter's not going to be too happy." And then she said, "My other daughter, though, she thinks it's a great idea." Yeah, I'm sure she does think it's a great idea. Probably lives, 4 states away. I thought that is classic. I wasn't sure if she needed me to take a guess why the other daughter thought buying the first daughter's kid a bunch of drums was a great idea. I kept my mouth shut. I just nodded. That's the student quote of the week. My other daughter thought it was a great idea. I love it. Hey, happy first day of winter, everybody. December 21st. Here we are, the shortest amount of daylight in the year, longest amount of nighttime. So if you're going to do some nighttime activities, tonight's the night to enjoy your night. December 21st. Happy first day of winter solstice. Happy that to you. Okay. Should I sell out? I might sell out. If I sell out, here are 3 of the offers that have been offered to me to sell to you. Mattresses. Would you buy a mattress from me? I don't know. Oh, PlayStation. Sony. I guess Sony reached out to me. I mean, not really to me, right? It's like a blanket email they probably sent out to 10,000 YouTubers to get me to sell PlayStations to you. And my favorite drum roll. Someone give me a drum roll. Anybody give me a drum roll out there? My favorite offer this week from me to sell to you, and actually the one that I would almost consider because I could use some free samples. Cat litter. That's right, cat litter. I'm not joking. A cat litter company reached out to me and said, "We love your content, and we think your viewers would love our cat litter." And I would consider that for a moment because I have a couple of kitty cats at home. And if they want to send me a whole bunch of free litter, I would think about that. But there you go. That is what I was offered this week to offer to you. And now you know what my email inbox looks like. There you go. Who's in town this week? Papa Chubby. Any Papa Chubby fans? On the 27th of the month, right across the street, Papa Chubby. New York native Papa Chubby is going to be playing some bluesy guitar across the street this week, and that's who's in town. He's on tour, I noticed, all over the Northeast, right through April, I think. So if you're a Papa Chubby fan, he's going to be all around New York State and Rhode Island, all over the place through April. And he's coming to my neighborhood on the 27th of December. Papa Chubby, there you go. Randy, you got a couple of kitty cats? Yeah. Hey, so maybe I should maybe that'll be the one, you know, maybe that I'll give in, man. I'll sell out to the big litter. Big litter. Yeah. And you'll get me saying things like, I don't know how to sell. Unsung Hero is actually playing PlayStation right now in bed with your cat. So you're on a mattress playing PlayStation with a cat. Wingo says, do any of these performers come to your shop when they're in town? Not that I know of. And I say it that way because like right now my door is locked and it looks like we're closed. So if someone, wanted by anybody, they would assume I'm not here. I have had people come by when they need something, and sometimes I can actually help out. You guys know the box tops, right? Give me a ticket for an airplane. Ain't got time to take a fast train, right? The box tops. The box tops came through town a couple years ago, and the guy needed a distortion pedal. And of course I have a distortion pedal. I got a Blues Driver, man. I have the one of the classic distortion pedals, Boss Blues Driver. I love it. And I'm like, yeah, man, he's a box top. If he wants to borrow my Blues Driver, for sure. Yeah, let him borrow my Blues Driver, man. And he said, how should I get it back to him? I'm like, just put it in my mailbox. Why not? I got a little mailbox right outside the front door of my shop. So the next day there's a little Blues Driver back in my mailbox. Why not, man? Why not? Sometimes a performer across the street needs something that I cannot provide. Any Husker Du fans out there? Bob Mould was doing a solo tour, and his amp blew up or something like that, and he needed a big old honking like Fender Twin, like a big, loud Fender amp, and I did not have that. I did offer my little Fender amp. You guys know I'm a proud owner of a Fender Pro Junior, 1 speaker, 2 knobs, and apparently that was not what he was looking for, which I get that. It's not the same as a Fender Twin. So, another band, a very cool Scottish band called Skerryvore, Skerryvore, Skerryvore. Very, very fun band. They came through town. They needed a drum set. So I rented them my drum set, and they threw me a couple of tickets to see the show. My wife and I went to see Skerryvore. This is a few years ago, and they were great. And they asked if I wanted to have a few drinks after the show, and I didn't, and I should have, right? I should have. Drinking with a Scottish band, man, what could go wrong? But anyway, so that was very fun. And it's fun hearing my drums on stage, and it was just interesting for hearing them from a different perspective. Although, you know what, they sounded like my drums. I mean, I could recognize the sound. I don't know. But that was fun. So there you go. There's the answer to your question. And if I just don't, I don't make myself available in the way that some people would. Some people would like be waiting at the stage door when the band van rolls into town and say, "Hey, man, you guys need any strings or picks, or can I get a picture for my social media?" And I don't know, whatever that type of person does. I mean, good luck to them. That's cool. But I don't know. That's not my thing. But in case anyone wonders, who else came in? Oh, who was it? It was the guitar player for. Was he playing with who's that terrific Sonny Landreth? Not Sonny Landreth himself, but the guy playing guitar with Sonny Landreth. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. He wandered in, said hi, and just checked out a few things I had sitting around. Yeah, but I don't get that too much. But that's partly because I don't go out of my way to make it happen. I should. I know I should. But I'd rather be with you guys at the moment, right? I don't need to be starstruck. I'd rather be doing what we're doing right here. Okay, so that's what's going on. Oh boy, beginning guitar lessons says his dad brought home some drums for Christmas, and the day after Christmas they were gone. Yeah, it's a tricky thing, man. But two things. Sometimes the kid who gets the drums goes on to be a great drummer, or at a minimum, a passionate musician. So I was that kid who started off on drums and loved nothing more than drums for years as a kid. The drums were my life as a kid, and the rest is history. Second thing you should know is there are so many ways to make a standard drum set way softer than you think. Different things that you put on top of the drum heads, different muffling systems. So whether you're thinking about giving them as a gift, buying them for yourself, if there's any time in your life where you have a concern about loud drums where you live, there's so many ways to tone down the volume of drums. So and I'm not even talking about electronic drums. I'm not a huge fan of electronic drums, although I get they sound amazing. But that's a whole different story. I'm talking about old-fashioned drums. There's so many ways. So you'd be surprised at how easy it is to tone down the volume of a drum set. And I'm sure they invent new stuff all the time. Okay, hey, I'm ready to do the guitar play along. I'm ready if you're ready. By the way, last week, I didn't say the name of the song or the performer, right? And I did not get dinged with a D modification. This week is a little bit different. Okay, bear with me, you guys, because this week's guitar play along song is an old tune. Here it comes. There you go. Can you see that on your screen? I hope you can. Many people have recorded this song. This song is a blues standard. I chose this song for us to play because it is an 8-measure blues tune. Remember we did Trouble in Mind not that long ago? Trouble in Mind, also an 8-measure blues form. This is extremely close to the form of Trouble in Mind, but not the exact same. In fact, I actually thought it was the same, and then I did my little deep dive and I was corrected. So we're going to do this in the key of A, and see underneath the title there, Junior Wells. It's Junior Wells does it in the key of A, and on his album called On Tap from 1975, featuring Sam Lawhorn on guitar. I want to give everyone credit because Sam Lawhorn does a very cool solo with some nice reverb right in the middle of the tune that I really dig. I actually want to go back and learn that solo. It's just my style, man. In case you want to know what my style of lead guitar playing is, it's what Sam Lawhorn does on Junior Wells' version of this tune. Okay, we're doing the key of A, partly because it works for my voice. Eric Clapton and B.B. King did a duet album, and they do it in the key of A. Eric Clapton with Derek and the Dominoes did it in the key of A. On a relatively recent Allman Brothers album, it might have been a live album, they do it in the key of A. Derek Trucks does it in the key of A, but Little Walter does it in G. Freddie King does it in C sharp. Muddy Waters did it on the the London album he did with a bunch of British musicians, he does it in the key of E. Led Zeppelin does it in the key of C. In fact, Led Zeppelin is on Led Zeppelin 3. I don't think this is on the official album, but if you see like the deluxe version of Led Zeppelin 3, I think it's one of the bonus tracks. They do this song and it goes into a medley with Trouble in Mind because they're so similar, you know. I feel like, oh my God, that's very affirming. Like, yeah, they're both 8-bar blues. So why not do one chord and then swing right into the one song and swing right into the next song? Dr. John does a very hip version on piano, as you can imagine. I mean, everything Dr. John ever did was hip. He does it in B flat. Okay. So since many people have done it in many keys, including the key of A, I thought, hey, I'm going to do it in the key of A, and it's a little bit better for my voice anyways. Okay. So as you can see on the screen, I'm going to scroll up a little bit now so you can see the whole thing a little bit better. Okay, there we go. What we have here is Jonathan's version of the song. This is not note for note what you're hearing on the actual recording. This fits with Junior Wells' recording. It fits just fine. But let's do it this way so that we can do it together, all of us right now. And if you choose to, sure, you could do this along with any version of Key to the Highway that's in the key of A. And who did I say? B.B. King and Eric Clapton on their duet album, they do it in the key of A. Derek and the Dominoes, which of course is Eric Clapton. Derek Trucks solo version, I guess, in the key of A. And anyways, okay, so let's make this quick. We have a basic shuffle pattern. Okay, 2 fat strings at the same time, or not the fat S strings. You have the open A, and I'm fretting the D string 2nd fret. Okay, this is known as the A shuffle, named after the open A string. Next measure is the E shuffle, named after the open E string. Now, some of you guys, this is old hat. You're like, yep, shuffle patterns, I got it. Some of you who have never done a shuffle pattern before, it's just classic bluesy rhythm guitar, because blues music impacted everything that came after. This is certainly a rock and roll thing. Country songs, there are country songs that have this. You want to know your shuffle patterns. Quick reminder, not every song has cowboy chords strumming in the background, okay? And so you want to be aware of all the other things guitar players have done, rhythm guitar players, that are not directly related to D and A minor and B7 and all that stuff, you know? Okay, up above, if you look at each measure, up above, I did write chord names like A7, E7, and so on. In this particular song, you certainly can get by with strumming A7, however you play it, E7. In this particular case, it would sound kind of cool for one person to do that with the cowboy chords and the other person to play the shuffle pattern. It's not true of every blues tune, but it would work okay with this. So we have the A shuffle, as illustrated in the first measure, the E shuffle, and line 2 is nothing but the D shuffle. And that lasts twice as long. Okay, so there's 37 of you watching right now. Some of you are like, oh, this is too easy. Got it. Some of you are like, I have no idea what you're doing. So I'm trying to thread the needle because I want to include all of you, right? Those of you who are good to go, we're going to start in a minute. Those of you who have no idea about this whole shuffle thing, hopefully you're familiar with the A7 chord and the D7 and the E7 chords. If not, here's your motivation to learn those 3 chords, okay? If you look down at the bottom line, we got a turnaround. Now, there's lots of turnarounds in the world. You could argue there's maybe infinite variations. I chose this turnaround. This is my choice. This is not what's on the recording directly. I chose this one because it's really easy and it sounds good, especially in the context. So C, the 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, D string. You can do all downstrokes. And then I just put down the E7 chord there, the 2 fingers, like an E major chord with your ring finger off. because it's a perfect time to strum a cowboy chord at the very end of the form before the whole thing repeats back. Okay, so we're going to start in a minute. We're going to take it slowly. For those of you who want to play some soloing, I'm going to leave some room for soloing. You got two choices, just like Trouble in Mind. This particular blues tune, it works great with a minor pentatonic, the A minor, but it also works great 3 frets back with an A major pentatonic. So check it out. You're welcome to go back and forth. This particular pentatonic pattern, hey Bruce, welcome. This particular pentatonic pattern is the one I nicknamed the headquarters pattern, starting with a fat string, 5-8, then 5-7, 5-7, 5-7. On the 2 treble strings, 5-8, 5-8. Okay? That's going to sound great for this song. It also sounds great if you take everything I just said, move it back 3 frets, 2-5, 2-4, 2-4, 2-4, 2-5, 2-5. It sounds great that way as well. Up here at 5 and 8, it's the A minor pentatonic. Thanks to a stroke of luck, that same pattern 3 frets back is an A major pentatonic. It's a beautiful combination. And this song, you're welcome to dance back and forth between those two and let your ear enjoy the riches of that. Okay, so I'm going to play through the form one time with no singing. There's your chance to do whatever you want to do. And then I'll sing a couple verses and put like a little hole in the middle for some soloing, and then a couple more verses. Okay, so when you hear my little voice, right, when you hear me shut up, that's when I hope you go nuts and start soloing, you know, or focus on, you know, the rhythm guitar and see if we can all, you know, see if you can stick with me. Okay, you ready? Okay, I'm ready if you're ready. I'll see you on the other side. One time, no singing. Nice and slowly. 2, 3, 4. I got the key to the highway. I'm building bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running, 'cause walking's most too slow. Give me one more kiss, mama. Lord, before I go, I'm gonna leave this town. I won't be back no more. When the moon beats on the mountain, Lord, I gotta be on my way. I'm gonna roam this old highway until the break of day. I'm going back to the border. Well, baby, where I'm better known, because you haven't done nothing, babe, but drive a good man from his home. I got the key to the highway. Well, I bailed out and I'm bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running, because walking's much too slow. I I got the key to the highway. Whoa, I'm bending bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running because walking's much too slow. All right, what do you think? Pretty straightforward, right? Threw in a few little extra things, few little bonuses at the end there. Questions, comments? Pretty straightforward, right? I'm looking to see if there's any. We can get more and more elaborate, but I want to give you guys like the guts, this something you can do with the tune anytime it's in the key of A. By the way, if you found another key, you could potentially capo up, but the capo would have to go so high for like the keys of E or G. If you want a little music theory transposing test, you could say, okay, key of A starts on A7. Got it. You could say, if you wanted to play along with Little Walter's version in the key of G, you're going to go back one alphabet letter. This is the quick and dirty, like you're performing triage on the battlefield. This is the quick and dirty way to transpose. To play with Little Walter, go back one alphabet letter for every one of those chords. Let's ignore the shuffle pattern for a second. Let's just talk about playing the chords. In A7 chord, you're going to go back one alphabet letter. In the musical alphabet, G is backwards one alphabet letter from A, right? So anytime it says A7, you're going to play G7. The second measure where it says E7, you're going to go back one alphabet letter, play D7. And later when it says D7, you're going to substitute C7 right there. Not substitute, that's where C7 would be. So that's a quick and dirty way to transpose. It has nothing to do with proper music theory. It just kind of works out that way, that you just go backwards one alphabet letter for every chord and you're up and running. So you could play along with Little Walter's version. I recommend it by doing that. Okay. So there you go. Our play along song of the week. Randy says that was fun. Matt, you like the singing? I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. Randy, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. John is asking about the turnaround. Yeah, I'll show you the two turnarounds. There's the one that's on the paper right there. In terms of my pick, all downstrokes. And you're probably curious about the second turnaround because that one's pretty straightforward. I do think, though, it's worth mentioning when I go up to 5, I'm definitely using my ring finger and then my middle on 4 and my index on 3 and my index again on 2. Now the last turnaround. Okay, last turnaround. We're in the key of A, right? That's what I'm keeping in mind when I'm about to do this turnaround. When I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, I'm going to throw in that fancier turnaround. Okay. 9 on the skinny first string with my ring finger. Simultaneously 9 on the third string with my middle finger. I'm now fretting my first and third strings at 9. I'm plucking my third string, my first, and the third again. 9, 9, 9. Check out my middle and ring. I'm just going to go back. 8, 8, 8. Back to 7. Now for the ending. I think I did a little bite-sized A chord. 5 and 5 on the 2 treble strings and 6 on the third string. That's related to, depending how you look at it, it's either related to what you do for an F chord, except it's way up here at 5 and 6. Or some of you might associate with a big A bar chord, but instead of doing the whole bar chord, I'm just doing what I call a fragment of the bar chord in slow motion. I'll put this, by the way, I'll put this in the description of this video. I feel really strongly about using your middle and ring ring on the skinny string, remember, also known as the third finger, middle finger, second finger on the G string, the third string, both at the 9th fret. You use those 2 fingers so your index is ready for the ending. See how my index finger is ready for that 5-5 right there? In terms of my pick direction, I'm plucking down, up, down. And then I repeat it, down, up, down, down, up, down. So my picking is repetitive, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. And my fingering is literally just, I'm not even lifting my fingers off the guitar. 9s and 8s and 7s. And my middle finger never even leaves that string. My ring finger eventually goes off the string for that last little A chord. But my middle finger just keeps on going back. And then I believe that I concluded with an E7 chord in 5th position, which all that means is you take a C chord, C major, add your pinky, 3rd string, 3rd fret, take that whole thing, that whole grip, and move it up to 5, 6, and 7. The name now is E7, and that's the perfect chord to strum. In fact, if you look on the screen, that's what I had you strumming, but I had you strum the E7 down here. And I believe after that turnaround, I played the E7 up here. Why? Because my hand was in that vicinity. That's why it's great to know different ways of playing chords up and down the neck, because ultimately it makes your life easier. It's like cheating. So you don't have to rush back and do something else. You want to do what's easiest. Ironically, it takes a little practice to do what's easy. You have to earn it. You have to earn the right to do that. So there you go. Yes, Unsung Hero says you could put this actual song through your looper. Yeah, like just Key to the Highway as a shuffle pattern, and then solo along with the A minor pentatonic and the A major pentatonic. And in fact, that's a great way to hear the difference between the two. They have some of the same notes, not a shock. A minor pentatonic and A major pentatonic both have the note A in them, right? They both have the note E in them, but then that's, then they don't, the other notes are not the same. Oh, pentatonic. Both A minor pentatonic and A major pentatonic have 5 notes. They have 2 in common, the A note and the E note. It's the other 3, those 3 little notes are what your ear is going to tell you is different about the A minor pentatonic compared to the A major pentatonic. By the way, I've been thinking about this more recently, how quickly our ear tells us wrong, bad, don't do that, right? You play one little wrong note and your ear instantly, right? Isn't that, I know it sounds so obvious, but isn't it interesting? Your ear knows you played a wrong note way before your fingers know. Your fingers are like, what? I'm at the 5th fret. What? Oh, no, I guess I'm at the 6th fret. Meanwhile, your ear is like just shaking his head, and thank goodness that someone is paying attention, right? Your ear is paying attention. But it is kind of amazing that your ear just stops you in your tracks, right? Instantly, bang, don't do that. Thing you just did was wrong. It wasn't, I don't like it. It's good. It's good, right? You want to stop in your tracks. Bruce says, your discussion about secondary dominant chords is so interesting. Could you explain that a bit? A 7th chord that works great, but isn't in the key. Oh yeah. Yeah. I love this stuff. I always think of Georgia on My Mind. Or for those of you who are fans of the band called The Band, the song called Ophelia, those are just ones in my, that have always popped into my head. When a 7th chord, like say E7, pops up in a song and it's not supposed to be there. Not if the song is staying true to the only chords that are part of the original chord family. Boards on the window, mail by the door. You guys know Ophelia? Board. I gotta sing it. I better do it in a different key. Boards on the window, mail by the door. I just did G to B7. I have no idea how the band does it. Ophelia. Anyways, so yeah, so I can make this quick. I can make it last an hour, but let's make it quick. Remember at the beginning, remember when this all started around 90 minutes ago? We were talking about a family of chords in the key of C. C major, the C, key of C family of chords, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, or G7, and A minor, okay? Any of those minor chords could be played as a seventh chord. Instead of playing E minor, you could play E7. And that is known as a secondary dominant. Seventh chords, the proper name for seventh chords are dominant seventh chords. So now you know. And so academically, if I did a song like Ophelia, boards on the window. Yeah, okay. Starting on the C, going to E7, boards on the window, mail by the door. E7 is not supposed to be there. It has the note G sharp in there. G sharp is not legal in the key of C, except it sounds great, right? So when I say it's not legal, you know, that's where the fun begins, you know. I believe. Oh, you know what? I could use Georgia on My Mind as an example. Often when that secondary dominant pops up and the song sounds kind of edgy for a second, very quickly a good chord comes in. For those of you who own a copy of the SongBike guitar, the SongBike Chord-Melody Songbook Vol.1, you could turn to the Georgia on My Mind. Okay, so in the key of G, we have a G major chord. A minor is the expected chord, the diatonic chord. That would, also be involved in the key of G. B minor is another one. Georgia on My Mind goes to B7 instead. Georgia, here it comes. Georgia. Okay? It has a little bit of an edge. That B7 is a little bit of an edge. B7, by definition, loves to have its tension resolved by an E or E minor the whole day through. In this case, Hoagie Carmichael goes from B7 to E minor, and we're back into the expected world of key of G chords. Yeah. Georgia, Georgia. Here's the E minor. The whole day through. And A minor, fine, so that B7 created this little edginess, this tension, but then the tension is resolved by the E minor, and after the E minor comes A minor, and we're back, nothing to see here, folks, nothing to see here, but obviously that it created this nice moment. Okay, so Bruce, right now I'm talking about when the chords that you're likely to see as this whole secondary dominant concept. By the way, the reason it's called secondary dominant is there is a dominant chord that is not a shock in the key of G, since we're talking about the key of G, the D7 chord, the 5 chord. Is in the key of G, it might show up as a D, but it might show up as a D7. And that's totally legal and totally fine, and that's why it's an option. Might be D, might be D7, either way. The note that makes it a D7 is a note in the G major scale, so it's fine. So that would be like the dominant. And the other dominants that show up, that's why they're called secondary dominants. So the B7, the second chord of Georgia on My Mind, if it's done in the key of G, that is an example of a secondary dominant. Could you have other, dominant chords show up out of nowhere? Sure, for sure. Say you're a songwriter. One way to start would be, I want to make sure I say this correctly. Yeah, any chord that should be, quote, quote, a minor chord in that key, make it a dominant 7 chord instead. And then you've entered the world of secondary dominance. And yes, there is a tertiary, a third dominant. Oh yeah, the sky's the limit. Oh, Salty Dog is my favorite. The old bluegrass tune, Salty Dog. We did that as our guitar play along a long time ago. I can tell you when, but we did that a long time ago. Salty Dog is just dominant chord after dominant chord. Bear with me for a second, you guys. Okay, there we go. Salty Dog, 34, man, 34. Right here, there we go. I'm gonna shut down Key to the Highway here. I think we get the idea of that. Okay, so Salty Dog. If you're curious about something that's full of dominant chords and the unique sound it creates, head over to SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream number 34, and right about in the middle, about the 1 hour point, probably. That's where we'll get into that. So last thing I'm going to say, by definition, any chord that's a dominant 7 chord, A7, B7, C7, any of those, not talking about minor 7, just, any of those, they create tension by definition. And that tension loves to get resolved by a pretty specific follow-up chord. The B7 from Georgia on My Mind, B7 loves to go to anything with E in the name, E major or E minor, So by definition, that's what happens. If a B7, instead of going to E major or E minor, if it went to E7, well, then the game's not over yet, because now you've sort of resolved the tension from the B7, but now you're stuck with it. Not stuck, but now you're in a place where your chord still has some tension. Well, where does E7 want to go? E7 likes to go to any chord with A in the name in it, with the name A in it. What if E7 goes to A7? Well, then you're still not done yet, right? Remember, we're in the key of G. So we've gone from G to B7 to E7 to A7. Where does A7 likes to go? A7 likes to go to anything with D in the name of it. D major, D minor, or D7. Well, guess what? If you went from A7 to D7, you've made it, my friends. A D7 chord loves to go, say it with me, a G chord. And that gets you back to the G, and life is good. So yes, you could write a song, G to B7, to E7, to A7, to D7, and back to G. And you could just keep circling around, why not? Why not? Keep in mind that you don't have to spend an equal amount of time on each one of those chords. So in case your creative ideas, if it's just too much of that, you could sing on top of the G chord and the B7 chord and the E7 chord. But then you could make it like a little instrumental thing, a quick little A7, D7, and the whole thing starts again. And then back around again, right? Now, you're having fun circling around. But you don't have to belabor that chord sequence with like 8 long counts on every chord, right? I mean, don't let me stop you, but melodically, you might feel it's too much. And if that's you, yeah, then shorten up the last little. I think of this as a chemistry equation. Like if this happens, it creates this. Well, if that happens, it creates this. And you don't want to blow anything up. So you want to get back to that G chord. So, but you can decide the duration of each one of those chords. You're going to end up with a pretty cool sounding song. So let us know how it works out. Okay. How's everyone doing? You hanging in there? You ready for Holidays, we got Christmas and Hanukkah beginning on the 25th. That doesn't happen all the time. It's happening this year. It looks like coffee. Sadly, it is room temperature water. That's all right. I've had enough coffee today. I've had enough. I'll cut myself off. Hey, we have plenty more to talk about. Let's take a minute and talk about Grammy Awards. Oh my God, we got to talk about Grammy Awards. We got to talk about this other present that someone gave me. I can't wait to share this other present, an early Christmas present from one of my students. I'm so happy. Okay, these Grammy nominations are killing me because I'm discovering all these super talented people. Oh man, some of them I'm a little bit familiar with. Some of them I was not familiar with at all. Everything I'm about to say, I'm going to put these people's names and links to very cool YouTube videos in the description of this video. Okay, let's start with someone who I see her name everywhere, and you guys might be familiar with Rhiannon Giddens. Rhiannon Giddens is everywhere, and she's nominated for a Grammy. Born in 1977, Greensboro, North Carolina. She is up for a Grammy for Best American Roots Performance for a song entitled The Ballad of Sally Ann. She's very talented, and she's everywhere. So keep your eye open for Rhiannon Giddens, Grammy nominee. Oh, man. Well, I'm going to save this one for last. Okay. You ever just want to chill out and hear beautiful cello music, just solo cello? Yeah. Whether you know it or not, you do want to chill out to the music of Andrea Casarubios, born in 1988 in Spain. She has taught at Juilliard. She's taught at Eastman. This is some pretty good credentials. She is up for Best Contemporary Classical Composition. So it's not literally her performance, although her performance is gorgeous, but it's as a composition. She is nominated. Beautiful cello stuff. Whether or not you consider yourself a classical music fan or not, you want to hear beautiful cello music. So I'll put a link to her performing in the description of this video. Oh man, here's someone who's up in the category for Best Chamber Music / Small Ensemble Performance. And Caroline Shaw, born in 1982, Greenville, North Carolina. Hey, she's no slouch. Back in 2013, she got a Pulitzer Prize for music 11 years ago. What has she done recently? Well, she's up for a performance called Rectangles in Circumstance. And this is a little bit different. It's a traditional song in the sense that she's singing with background music. But yeah, man, it's a little bit different. So please check out Caroline Shaw. And the performance is called Rectangles in Circumstance. Two more. One of my favorites, someone who I am familiar with, Michael League. Some of you know him as being involved with the band Snarky Puppy. Michael League is awesome. Born in 1984 from Long Beach, California. Why am I telling you the birth dates of these people? Because some of you think to yourselves, these kids nowadays, man, music isn't what it used to be. Well, I know these aren't young kids, but hey, born in 1984, pretty young. Man, what a talented guy. Michael League is up for he's up for a Grammy in the category Best Arrangement of an Instrumental or a cappella Tune. And it's for their version of a Henry Mancini tune. Oh, what's the name of it? The monkey. I forget the name of it. It's a goofy monkey dance. What's the name of it? Elephant Walk. Baby Elephant Walk. Monkey. I was in the ballpark. You want to check this out. Just very, very unique, very talented individuals in the band called Snarky Puppy. So Michael League is, I believe, the founder, certainly is the main guy in Snarky Puppy. Okay, last one. Nominated for a Grammy. Not her first time being nominated. Not her second time being nominated. It's at least her third time being nominated. Someone give a Grammy to Ruthie Foster. Oh, man. She is nominated for a Grammy in the category called Best Contemporary Blues Album. The album is entitled Mileage. And I checked out a video of her playing the song Mileage. But it's a very cool version. Let me pull up the lyrics here. With it's just her singing and a guitar player accompanying her. And recorded at the Sun Studio, Elvis's, birthplace, so to speak, Sun Records. And it's number one, it's just a great song. Number two, it's very cool hearing it with just vocals and guitar. But I just dig this song too much. I'm going to read you a couple of the lyrics because some of you have been around and you might relate to some of the lyrics here. The song is called Mileage, which I believe is also the name of the album. She sings, there ain't no road I ain't been up and down. I've been lost, I've been found, and I'm proud of my mileage. I'm out here chasing every dream I've dreamed. I've earned who I am because I've seen mileage. It's so cool, man. Mileage. I fill my cup up just to pour it. I give my all and I floor it. Yeah, man. You know, and those are just some of the lyrics. Mileage. Anyways, very cool song. So I'm going to put a link to that song, her performing that song, specifically the solo acoustic performance of that song. And she's up again, not for the first time, not even for the second time. It's at least her third time. She has not won a Grammy. So I'm pushing. I know everybody's talented in her category, but I'm pushing for her to get it this year. That's Ruthie Foster, born 1964 from Texas, up for a Best Contemporary Blues album called Mileage. And it's a great song. My current favorite song. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay. Hey, I'm looking into the chat here. Don't be shy, you guys. You can ask a question because that is why I'm here. Somebody ask a question with a bunch of question marks in advance. While you're formulating your question, let me show you a very sweet, cool present that someone got me because he knows what a nerd I am. You guys remember this book, right? One of my students came in. He had found this book at a used bookstore, at my favorite used bookstore, and he beat me to it. He found this very cool book called Rock, Blues, Guitar, Groove, Lead Guitar, featuring slide guitar by Tony Menken. We've done a few things from this book, and I even went as far as to say, wow, I wonder if this is the first kind of rock and roll guitar book. And on the back of the book from Mel Bay Publications, it, by the way, and I went and got myself a copy on eBay. And on the back of the book, it talks about all these other Mel Bay publications. And one of them was simply called Teenage Guitar Styles for $1.50. And I thought, man, and I said to everyone around me, I said, someday I want to find that book. I want to find Teenage Guitar Styles. And look, man, that same student, he found me a copy. Look at, isn't that gorgeous? It's in great shape. Look at that. No one even, the pages are a little yellowed, a little bit, but I can't believe it. So this is yet another Christmas present from one of my students. I am so touched because he knows what a nerd I am. So, oh man, sit tight, everybody, because probably next Saturday, we're going to dig into whatever that means, teenage guitar. Anyone want to take a guess as to the publication of this book? I'll tell you right now, it predated that one by quite a bit. This is early. Oh, man. Anyone want to take a guess? Put it in the chat. Take a guess when Teenage Guitar came out. Here it's just called Teenage Guitar. On the back cover here, they call it Teenage Guitar Styles. Rock Lobster put in a guess. Okay, I don't want to give any clues yet. Someone else guess. Let me just tell you, this is for sure the earliest rock-related guitar book I have ever seen in my life. Teenage Guitar by Roger Filiberto. I have another one of his books because I have every book except this one. Now I have this one too. I have Roger Filiberto's publication on how to play lap steel guitar. So as soon as I saw that name, I thought, Roger, my man. And there he is. There's Roger Filiberto. The lower, there's the Mel Bay up there. Okay, Wingo, you got it. Wingo, correct. You get 1,000 points and 2 gold stars. 1964, the earliest publication I've ever seen that focuses on what we would call well, now we'd call it rock music. I don't know if they chose to call it teenage. Here in the introduction, the Mel Bay publication says, the teenage guitarist is one of the prime factors of the meteoric rise of the guitar. The impact given to this instrument by this generation of teenagers will be felt for years. Was he wrong? No lie detected. The presentation of this folio to the teenage guitarist supplies some of the finest arrangements ever created for this young group of musicians. There you go. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So 1964, right? Beatles, check. Rolling Stones, check. Right? A lot going on, 1964. Interestingly, I'm going to hold up the first page of music, and you're going to notice something about the way the tab is set up. First of all, I'm surprised there was even tab. Notice, you see that okay? What do you notice about the tab? They are using 6 spaces instead of having the lines poke through every number. Every space between the lines represents one of your guitar strings. Very cool. Very cool. That means 8s don't look like 3s and 6s don't look like 0s. It's much easier to read. Why is it not still that way? I don't know. It's easier to read, but we got away from it. Times change, man. Times change. So anyways, oh, my Christmas is just about complete. Just about. I mean, that's, wow, man. $1.25. So cool. Anyways, I wanted to share that with you. 1964. There you go. Very thoughtful. I'm a lucky guy. Now, I have checked off a lot of the things that I want to throw your way. Hey, I am really digging, and I'm not trying to sell you this, but I wanted to share with you. I'm really digging this reverb pedal, the TC Electronic Hall of Fame reverb pedal. And because I'm digging it, I thought, I don't know, if you want to get yourself one, they have a second one. It's called the TC Electronics Hall of Fame 2. And in case your amp does not have reverb, like my amp does not have reverb, I recommend this one. It's just a cool. I bought it used. It's the original version. I have no reason to think it's any better than the new one. I'm sure the new one is a little bit better. But in case you're looking for a reverb pedal, okay, in the chat, I just put a Sweetwater link where you can check out the specs and the price and all that stuff. There you go. I figure if I use it and I'm enjoying it, then why keep that information from you? All right. Hey, you want to say hi to my mom? Hey, Mom. My wife may be watching as well. Loved one, betrothed. I will see you later. We're having our Christmas party tomorrow at our house. That means a lot to do between now and when company arrives. I mentioned earlier, you guys, I have a new Sweetwater affiliate link. It's going to be in the description of this video. I'm going to put it in the chat one more time. Buy yourself something in case you have any concerns about what's going to be in your stocking. Get yourself something, or keep that link handy and wait and see how everything pans out, and then get yourself something, you know. Okay. And don't forget, we got a few minutes here. Good. Don't forget, get yourself something for free. The SongBike Blues Guitar Guide is free. I don't have it handy. It's a cool book. You want to get it for yourself, you know. Head over to my website, song-bike.com, and it becomes very obvious what to do. It gets emailed to you instantly, and there is a video that shows everything in the blues guide, and that video is just on YouTube. You can see the video anytime. It's just right here on my YouTube channel. But get the free book and the video. The book gets emailed to your inbox right away. It's a PDF, and enjoy. Okay. Hey, let's talk about, I'll teach you another lesson you'll never forget. Okay. We did Key to the Highway. How about from that same book? Oh, we got to do Auld Lang Syne. Bear with me. Here comes Auld Lang Syne as a chord melody. Okay. If your screen goes black, do not fret. Do not worry. I'm going to try to make this a little bigger because believe me, I'm aware that it might be a little bit hard to read on your end. Okay. There is Auld Lang Syne. Now, you guys, of course, everyone knows Auld Lang Syne, right? Hey, there we go. Auld Lang Syne, it's the New Year's Eve song, right? Should old acquaintance be forgot? In this book, The Guitar Year One, is this exact page. I'm giving you this for free. Why not, man? New Year's Eve. There's Music Fan. Music Fan is in the chat. She is also a moderator, and I thank her for her service. I shall play this for you, partly because if I can do it, you can do it. It is easy, but chord melody arrangements, you guys know what I always say. It's a very complete musical statement. No one needs to sing necessarily. It's like the guitar is taking care of everything. The guitar is both the singer and the accompanist. So Auld Lang Syne, this version of it is going to sound like this. Right? You hear the melody, hear the chords, it's complete, right? If I just played the melody, it would sound kind of thin and empty. If I just played the chords, it would just sound like a bunch of C's, F's, and G's. You combine them, and that's what you get. Okay, so if you are up for that kind of approach, it's pretty darn easy. But it sounds like something, right? It's a complete sound. It's one page, and it's pretty repetitive. So it's not even a full page of work, you know? Okay, so I chose that song as one of the examples of a chord melody approach to playing the guitar. It is all for you in this book called The Guitar Year One. I think you'll get a kick out of that book because I've taught guitar for a long time, since 1992, right? So I've had plenty of time to think of good challenges, reasonable challenges for someone within their first year of playing the guitar. Someone who's serious, they're going to play pretty much every day. I'm not saying that by the end of 1 year, you have to be good at everything in that book, but there's a really nice variety of stuff in that book. And you probably will find your favorite things and say, oh, that one finger blues thing from earlier, I could do that all day long. Or Auld Lang Syne, I could play that all day long or something. There's enough of a variety in there that for sure you're going to find something that is your thing. And you're like, yes. You're welcome to do every page in the book. It's going to make you a better guitar player. But I made it so there's a nice variety. But everything in there has songs and examples and riffs and scales and stuff that really should be stuff that you are, at a minimum, that you're familiar with during your first year of playing the guitar. It doesn't mean you have to play every page perfectly, but you really want to know about this stuff. And like I keep saying, there's a nice variety of things. So it's not just like grinding away on the F chord, you know, or just major scale practice on every page. A lot of stuff in there. So, so far tonight, we talked about the one finger blues riff. That's from that book. And then Auld Lang Syne is also from that same book. And if we have time, we'll do another one too, another page from there. So there you go. Okay. Checking off the list. Check. Hey, not too late. For those of you who are Christmas oriented, the Christmas book, it's sitting here, it's looking for a home. Again, there we go. Oh, by the way, there's another version of Auld Lang Syne in this book. 31 songs arranged, each one arranged 3 different ways. Head over to song-bike.com and get yourself a copy of that delivered instantly to your inbox. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Jeff is recommending Nancy Griffith. Yeah, Nancy Griffith, Jeff, she's great. Everyone should check out Nancy Griffith. Sadly, she passed away a few years ago, right? I believe. Yeah, I second Jeff's recommendation. Those of you who are not familiar with Nancy Griffith, yeah, you want to check out her stuff. One of her albums called Other Voices, Other Rooms. I listen to that album so much. It's her doing cover songs by a variety of songwriters. And all her stuff is great. But that particular album, I just happened to hear that album a lot and was happy to hear it a lot. Very cool. Okay. Don't forget, you guys, I'm here for your questions. Rock Lobster is asking about the SongBike t-shirts. Those are, I have everything set up. I just have to check a few more boxes. And then believe me, I will be encouraging guys to buy yourself a SongBike t-shirt or a cap or whatever. Hey, maybe even, I don't want to promise anything. Maybe next Saturday could be the big reveal of SongBike merch. And you could get some cool stuff to wear in the new year. Like no promises, but that would make a lot of sense. So maybe next Saturday will be the big reveal for the SongBike merchandise. Thank you, Rock Lobster, for suggesting that. Okay, check. How are we doing in our poll? Does your vision affect your experience practicing the guitar? Things are sticking pretty much the way they've been sticking. The official poll question: how much does your vision affect practicing? 45% say, yeah, you struggle sometimes. It gets in the way of your practicing, right? Because you're squinting at the screen or at the paper. 40% say, my eyes are great. I have no problems. 12% say all the time. It's always a factor something that you struggle with. And 3% say just not an issue. You're not reading off of screens or off of paper, so it's just not an issue. Yep, interesting, very interesting. Okay, if you haven't voted, now's the time. We got 36 of you in the chat. So if you haven't voted already, now is as good a time as any to vote. Okay. I'm going to make this next part fast, but it's not because I don't find this extremely inspiring and interesting. You guys know we have been little by little talking about 50 different awesome guitar players from all over the world. About 5 a week for the past few weeks. I got 5 more for you this week. I love this deep dive because some of these people I had maybe heard of but didn't really know much about. We got 5 this week in no particular order. Number 1, from Brazil, Baden Powell, B-A-D-E-N, Powell, Baden Powell. Beautiful stuff. Known not only for playing Brazilian style guitar, incorporating jazz and classical stuff, but also as a composer. He wrote songs that went on to be Brazilian jazzy classic tunes that were played all over the world. Baden Powell, I'm going to put a link into in this video, a link to one of him performing. He started off an electric guitar, but pretty quickly moved into nylon string, classical guitar, and steel string. Beautiful stuff. Also, in a list of 50 global guitar greats, Robbie Basho. That's a name that I had heard for years and just didn't know too much about him. Holy cow. Robbie Basho, born in 1940, passed away, sadly, in 1986 from the USA. His style of fingerpicking on acoustic guitar was generally called American primitive style. Those of you who are familiar with John Fahey, it's that style of fingerpicking, incorporating blues and country, but also sort of international influences in there as well. Robbie Basho was kind of on a mission to elevate the guitar to being a concert instrument. Concert meaning like on the big stage, right there with piano, trumpet, violin. He was on a mission to get the guitar to that level of respect, sort of. And I put in 2 links. One is him performing, but there's a documentary about his life. And I believe one of the links I'm going to put in is a link to the trailer for that documentary. And that's a documentary that was from a few years ago, but it made all the rounds, all the international film festivals. And I believe it was really well received. Okay, number 3, from England, Davy Graham, born in 1940. Davy Graham popularized the dadgad tuning. You guys have heard of dadgad? That describes a guitar with the strings tuned to D-A-D, G-A-D. Very unique, but very popular alternative tuning. And Davy Graham helped popularize that. He wrote an instrumental called Angie, A-N-J-I. Some of you might know that from Paul Simon, because Paul Simon. I think it was on the album, the Sounds of Silence album. Paul Simon does a version of Angie written by Davy Graham. And many people have done versions of that tune. So that's one of his legacies. From the Bahamas, Joseph Spence. Definitely an acquired taste. I got turned on to Joseph Spence as a young man working in a guitar shop, and people would talk about stuff. My boss would put in a cassette of, I never knew what we were going to listen to that day in the music shop, and sometimes it was Joseph Spence. From the Bahamas, the folklore investigator, detective Sam Charters would go around looking for people, to record and to, document. And when he heard Joseph Spence from a distance, he thought it was two different guitar players. And boy, was he surprised when it was just Joseph Spence. From the Bahamas, he was a bricklayer in Nassau, and but his guitar playing led him to the U.S. and performed around the U.S. Ry Cooder was a big champion of Joseph Spence and would play Joseph Spence songs and promote Joseph Spence as someone we all should know about. Joseph Spence would use a drop D tuning. Just the fat string would be lowered down to D. So there'll be a video link in the description of this video to watch Joseph Spence. And someone I bet you are all familiar with, another person who made the list of 50 global guitar greats, Taj Mahal. Born in California, but grew up in Massachusetts. And Taj Mahal, what hasn't he done? His guitar playing, I guess you could say it's blues based, but it incorporated Hawaiian music, Caribbean music, African music. The video, I chose a very specific video to show you guys. It's he's being joined by Red Callender, the famous jazz musician Red Callender, playing tuba. So it's guitar, tuba, singing, and then Taj Mahal also does some great whistling. So I think you'll get a kick out of the Taj Mahal video. So there we go. 5 more from the Songlines magazine list of 50 global guitar greats. I get such a kick out of the little deep dives I'm doing on these guys. When this live stream wraps up in a few minutes, I will be putting all this stuff in the description of this video. The things that don't make it in tonight, I'll be time